Hey there, I wanted to talk to you just for a few moments about homeschooling independently. I don't know if you've noticed this, but there are some things that just don't work when you're homeschooling. Doing school at home when you're forced to against your will, and you're using school curriculum, and you have to do it all online, all the time, all day long. That does not work well. You're probably wondering then, how come homeschoolers are so successful? Statistically, we are very successful. Homeschoolers tend to score higher on tests just across the board, tend to score in the 84th percentile. So, how can they be so successful when perhaps your experience homeschooling wasn't so positive? So, let me explain about homeschooling. You see, the reason homeschooling is successful is because we can homeschool independently. And when you homeschool independently, it is not forced by the school district. It doesn't use the school district curriculum. It takes in mind your child's needs. And so, homeschooling independently is actually the key to being successful as a homeschooler. People ask me all the time, what is the magic words to get your kids to do school? And there are no magic words, but homeschooling independently can set your child up for success. So I encourage parents to just declare their homeschool independence, find their state homeschool law, certainly obey your state homeschool law. There are regional laws if you live outside the US. And at that point, when you're embracing the freedom that homeschooling provides, then you can really embrace that homeschooling lifestyle. Let me explain what really does work. When you choose curriculum that meets the needs of your child and works with their interests, is appropriate for their abilities, one of the things that's unusual about homeschooling is that mom or dad, the homeschooling parent, can actually make sure that the child knows something before moving on. And if you've been in public school at all, you know that that is not always the case. I mean, kids may be sick for a couple of days, miss that key unit on, I don't know, fractions, and then all of a sudden they have tons of trouble. That actually doesn't happen when you're homeschooling, because if your child has a sick day, you wait till they get better and then you explain the fractions, and you can continue to homeschool. This makes children sad. You can continue to homeschooling while they're sick by switching to videos to learn history for that week, or something like that. The other thing that's really helpful about homeschooling is that you can choose curriculum that's a good fit for your child. When you're choosing curriculum that meets their needs, that's challenging to them, but not overwhelming. So many times in a school situation, they're grabbing the curriculum based on the absolute average child at that particular school. Well, your child may not be average. They may be more advanced than other students, less advanced than other students. Maybe they are an active learner and they learn best through doing. Maybe they're an auditory learner and they learn best through listening. And when you're homeschooling, you can choose the curriculum that's a good fit for your child, and making sure that it's not too difficult for them. The other thing for you to remember is that when you're homeschooling, you actually have the answer key. Part of the reason why it was so difficult when parents were forced to homeschool against their will is because they're using material they're not familiar with. They don't know the answer. They don't know the purpose for each lesson. When you're homeschooling, though, you actually buy the whole curriculum. So you get the answer key with you. And if you are confused about something, you can easily get to the answer key and make sure that you help your child through whatever it is they're learning. I also encourage parents to embrace the freedom that independent homeschooling provides, because you can do a lot of your classes the natural way. You don't have to teach PE. You can go out and do PE. You don't have to teach fine art. You can actually have your child do their painting or their piano lessons, and that becomes their fine art. So you have a lot of freedom, not just in choosing your curriculum, but how do you teach classes? And so when you're embracing that liberty, then you may find that only 4 hours a day or 5 hours a day at the high school level is actually classes that are instructed with curriculum. And you may find that for the rest of the day, the child is engaged in delight directed learning, learning their fine art, learning their PE, learning things that they just enjoy learning, whether that's about birds or about goats or carpentry, right? It could be anything. And so you can include all of that information on your high school transcript if they're at high school age. Embracing that freedom that you have can make a huge difference in how you're able to become a happy homeschooler rather than a frustrated, angry homeschooler that is forced to use a specific curriculum. So I just encourage you to celebrate your independence by homeschooling independently. Really revel in that freedom so that you can teach your children to the very best of your ability. It's this kind of relaxed homeschooling that leads to success. This is the relaxed homeschooling that does encourage kids to get better scores on standardized tests because they don't hate school. The more you can include their delight directed learning, the things they love to learn about, the more likely they are to like school. The more that you can include delight directed learning, the more you're going to like homeschooling because you don't have to come up with different curriculum for them. You don't need to be worrying about making tests because it's delight directed learning. It doesn't come with tests. So anyway, I just wanted to encourage you to homeschool independently today because that's what really leads to success. And it's the school at home that brings frustration to parents. I hope that's encouraging. Have a great day.